Well, hi, folks. I've just been live talking about the R factor, one of the systems that we've helped hundreds and hundreds of businesses with. But this morning, as I was meditating, something else came to mind. When we're talking about the R factor, it's not just about building relationships with customers. It's about building relationships, not just with customers or even your own staff. It's about building relationships with yourself. So I just want to share with you the screen and some of the slides that I was talking about just before, where we're talking about this thing I call the R factor. Here, we talked about in the previous one, building a relationship beyond the transaction. But now what I want to talk to you about is building a relationship with yourself, building a relationship with yourself. In fact, how to build a great relationship with yourself, and why would you want to build a great relationship with yourself? And literally, I just had a message come in from a sports person that I've been doing some coaching with, and that person at many times has not got a great relationship with themselves because they're constantly abusing themselves. Or when I don't mean drinking wise, I mean if something goes wrong and they're like, it's a bit like John McEnroe in tennis. You know, they're really, in many ways, he's externalizing the blame. By the way, he's not himself and blaming himself. Whereas you'll see often a tennis player start abusing themselves, and do they ever play better? Almost never. So I want to show you the system that has led to that. Where it started with discussions around business, where we're talking about this R factor system, which is based on these statistics around companies losing customers and not even knowing that they're losing them. But the real statistic is this one of why customers stop coming back. 15% because they find a better product, 15% because they find a cheaper product, 20% because of too infrequent contact, and 49% because the contact they did get was poor quality. In other words, almost 69, 70% of a reason someone stops doing business with the business is frequency times quality of contact. This is some research done out of Boston years ago. And that's what got me to then create this formula. The strength of a relationship, and originally it was business, is frequency times quality of contact, where quality of contact is friendliness times value. Now think about it. It works the same with your dog. It works the same with your husband, with your wife, with your kids. The strength of your relationship is frequency times quality of contact. How frequent do we have either a positive contact, a loving contact, or painful, abusive, unfriendly one? Because we know the nervous system, Pavlov's dog's conditioned response is that, remember this, that ring the bell, the dog salivated, or ring the bell, present food, 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 the dog salivates, getting ready to eat the food. Then you just ring the bell, the dog starts salivating. It's a conditioned response. And so all relationships are conditioned responses. If I think of a name, any name, if I think Lady Gaga, you'll have a particular emotional response. It'll trigger a memory in you. If I say Toyota, you go, oh, what a feeling. If I say Hungry Jack's, what is it? The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's. If I say John Hughes, the car dealer, I want your car and I'm prepared to pay for it. What have they done with advertising? Conditioned responses. And you are conditioning people to respond a certain way based on your behavior whenever they think of your name or your company. If I think of any particular, think of a sporting coach, Mick Malthouse, for example, or if you think of the New England Patriots, we have responses. Our minds associate certain images, our bodies, our biochemistry associates certain feelings with those people, because with what we've seen on, remember, with Lady Diana died years ago, and hundreds of thousands of people who'd never met her were sad at her passing because through the media they'd built a relationship. Frequency times quality of contact, where quality is friendliness times value. Value being what difference have you made? Ideally, it's a positive difference, and they associate friendliness. And again, everything from smiling to, holding babies, what you say, all of these things. So what am I saying here, though? That's relationship with other people. Today, I want to talk specifically about you and your relationship with yourself. How frequent do you have a high quality contact with yourself? Now, what am I meaning by that? Well, your thoughts. Let me go to a program that I'm about to do with a client here on self-efficacy, self-awareness, and self-management. It's a program that's based on one of our programs called Self-Leadership, Self-Empowerment, and we're doing a session next week with the client on this. Now, this is a diagram from a good friend of mine, Andrew Bryant, and Anna Kazan, the book called Self-Leadership. And they say, if you're going, your influence and your impact is going to be a function of what's your intention. Do you have a conscious intention? But then your self-confidence, your self-awareness, and your self-efficacy. So let's just run through a few things here in terms of come back to frequency times quality of contact. What am I saying to myself? What are you saying to yourself that either builds your confidence, and how in tune are you? So self-awareness, we're actually going to be doing some things around, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your self-awareness? In my case, I think I'd probably say 7 or 8. My kids might say 3. My wife might say 5. I got a lot of work to do. Self-awareness. I think I was self-aware, but clearly at times people say, well, you're not, based on whatever some of the behaviors. As Sun Tzu, the Art of War, said, if you know yourself and if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. It also says, if you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you'll succumb in every battle. So how well do you know yourself? Whether it be through personality profiles like the DISC or the talent dynamics, or just conversations with others. As Ray Dalio says, the fastest path to success starts with knowing what your weaknesses are, being willing to face your weaknesses. But here, so these are conversations, quality conversations around what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the areas I need to work on? But self-efficacy refers to the individual's belief in his or her capacity to execute behaviors necessary to produce specific performance attainments. Self-efficacy reflects the confidence in the ability to exert control over one's own motivation, behavior, and social environment. So literally just this morning, we're talking with Louisa. Now, last Friday in the ocean, it was quite rough and then it rained, and she's a very good swimmer. But at that moment in time, she was panicking. Her self-efficacy, I've got to get out. I'm going to drown. I'm going to drown. Breathe. You can do this. Just stay cool. Stay cool in the situation. No, but her mind was running way ahead. Her mind was hallucinating that she was going to drown. But of course she wasn't. She's a super strong swimmer, and there's no problem. But it was all in her mind and her ability to believe of what she could do or couldn't do. And so the same with you, tuning into, what are you saying to yourself in terms of what you can do versus what you can't do? And of course, as Henry Ford said, whether you think you're going to win or lose doesn't matter. Either way, you're right. How you think about your capabilities will determine your capabilities. I think Richard Bach said, argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. Argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. At the same time, argue for your capabilities, and sure enough, they're yours. Now, yes, of course, you can have grandiose designs, but you know what? We know optimists get more done than pessimists. Optimists achieve more. Why? Because they believe in their capacity way more than pessimists. Your self-efficacy. So we're going to do some work with these guys on that next week of how you do that. Because the person with low self-efficacy avoids accepting challenges because they fear failure. They're constantly talking themselves down. They're constantly blaming themselves and talking about what you can't do. I mean, it's just sad to hear. Certainly people very close to me in my family have done that over the years, just constantly talking themselves down. When you grow up in that environment, it's not so helpful because we call it unconscious disempowering language. They don't even know that they're being disempowering, constantly talking themselves down. I hope that's not you, because we want to build that up. So here, what we're going to be doing is talking about things like setting goals, being willing to step out of comfort zone, looking at the big picture, reframing obstacles and setbacks, that it's not personal and it's temporary. It's not me. It's not me. It's just a particular behavioral skill today, but I'm going to get better at it. It's me developing and evolving. So we're talking about frequent quality contact with yourself, the story you tell yourself, particularly in and around taking responsibility and owning success and owning failure. The other thing here is, and therefore, what do we learn? How do we learn from it? It's a setback. It's a temporary setback. We're going to learn from it. You'll see that with any football coaches. Like I'm watching Adam Simpson of the West Coast Eagles at the moment. You know, the Eagles got a whole lot of younger players, and therefore, you know, we know from the statistics. My good mate Brian Cook, chief exec at Carlton these days, said we know that premiership winning teams, I think something like 90% of the team has to have 100 games under their belt. 100 games is essentially at least 5 seasons. So that you've got the experience. You're not going to win a premiership with a whole lot of people playing their 10th game. It's just the way it is. And so Adam Simpson is saying, okay, there were glimmers of good play. We put 3 good quarters together. In other words, celebrating success as distinct from I'm going to make them feel bad. I'm going to actually, you know, lower their self-efficacy. I've got to build. The coach's job is to build their self-efficacy. That is, you're better than you think you are. Talk yourself down, there's no way you're going to optimize your performance. And therefore, the skills around self-management, recognizing and controlling your own impulses, to be staying organized and focusing, to be focusing on problem solving, not being a victim of the problems, to be taking responsibility for your own actions and decisions rather than saying it wasn't me, it was someone else, it's my mother, the coach, the priest, the school teacher, you know, whinging, blaming, not owning. No, own it. That's a critical part of self-management. So here today, my insight when I was meditating was, wow, you know, the R factor is not just about customers. It's not just about staff. It's about your relationship with yourself, the quality conversations, the quality stories, the quality questions you ask yourself. And well, you want to have a healthy long-term relationship with yourself. I mean, as it works out, you're going to be there right up to the end with yourself. So speak with kindness, speak with love, speak with compassion, speak with the soft hand with yourself. I hope that helps, because I want to have a good relationship with you as well. And I hope these podcasts are quality conversations, quality contacts. Please let me know, subscribe, tell your friends, give me some feedback. You know, I'd love to hear from you. Give me feedback, particularly in terms of what I can do to help you lead your best life. The R factor is such a useful and powerful tool in terms of leading your best life, whether it be R factor in terms of sales, business, and or relationship with yourself. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Lee Farnell, Lee Farnell Best Business. See you soon.